Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lighthouse Collective podcast. I'm a co-host, Ben Love, and I'm here with
John Michael Perez.
Yeah, we're super excited. Today is a special podcast. One of the things that we talked about on our last podcast was transparency. And so we think that it's going to be great that you get to know us a little bit more. So John has volunteered to actually share his story with us today.
Ooh, let's do this.
He was actually voluntold.
Yeah. Ben was like, hey, I need you to share your story today. I'm like, all right, cool. But first, before we get started, I'm going to talk about where they can find us at the beginning and at the end. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at benlove_ATX_realtor.
And I'm at John Michael Perez on Instagram. We also have a Lighthouse Collective podcast on Instagram. You should go check it out. So today we're sharing my story.
Yes.
Yay.
So, John, I think it's really, really important, right? Like, okay, I see two people on a podcast, on a video. Man, they talk some good stuff. Some stuff, they're all over the place. But who are they, right? I don't want to be known as somebody's Wikipedia page, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think of it when we think of Jesus Christ, right? Like, I don't want to know facts about Jesus. I want to have an intimate relationship with him. And we talk about relationships all the time, man. So we're just going to sit here and get to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, man. So I'm going to start with the simple one. How old are you, bro?
I'm 34. Just turned 34 last month.
All right. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you're in Leander, Texas now.
Yeah.
A suburb north Austin.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did little John grow up?
Grew up in South Texas, South Third Texas, Victoria, Texas. It's a small town. Well, not small anymore. Probably 60,000 people.
Small town.
Small town, yeah. Not too much to do, I'm not going to lie. We got a mall, a movie theater, but it was good. Lived there for about 18 years. And then,
okay.
Yeah.
So Victoria, Texas. Here's little John Michael Perez. Brothers, sisters?
We got one sister. She's 9 years younger than me. Okay. So she's 24 now. Ooh.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. I remember when she was still in high school, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy that we've known each other.
That's
that
crazy. Long. Yeah. I'll go ahead and start from the very beginning if you want.
Yeah.
Or you got more questions? Let's
again, this is your story, right?
Okay.
So I do want to start back in Victoria, right? And then we'll eventually figure out how you ended up here in the Austin area.
Okay, cool. Well, here's a crazy story that most people don't know is when I was about 3 years old, I was leaning on the window of our 2-story apartment. And unfortunately, I fell out of a 2-story building, which was our apartment, and landed. I had no broken bones. And CPS came out and thought my mom threw me out of the window, right?
Okay.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like 3 years old. I think I have a vivid memory of being in the hospital and waking up there. I know I did get knocked out, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's one crazy story.
Yeah. So did you grow up in church?
I did, actually. Yeah. I grew up in church. So ever since I was born, we went to a small church, and then it grew into a big church called Faith Family down in Victoria.
Okay. Cool. How small was the church, or how big was it?
Well, when I left, I think we had about 2,000 people. But when when I was real young, we probably had a couple hundred. Yeah.
Okay. And so the whole family, or what did the family dynamics look like?
Yeah. So family dynamics. My dad, he still works at the plant. So he's always worked at a plant. My mom, so she was in and out of jobs, was a lot stay-at-home mom for a while.
Okay.
And then my sister was born when I was 9. And I remember one day my dad took me out of class. He took me into the bathroom and was like, hey, son, you're going to have a sibling coming soon, you know?
Yeah.
And I was super excited about that. Yeah.
Did a lot of babysitting?
Not so much, I don't think. I think that we just went over to my aunt's and my aunt watched us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So were you middle class, poor, rich?
So we were on food stamps. I know
Okay.
that. And I remember always going to events just because there was free food.
Yeah.
So we would always be going to, church events and stuff like that because there was opportunities to eat. My dad always worked really hard, but it just seemed like we could never catch up.
Yeah.
So I remember him going to work, real early in the morning. I remember him coming home real late at night. And so we lived in eventually, I think I was like 5 or 6, we moved into a trailer. It was a dilapidated trailer. Like it was bad,
Okay.
I remember literally not having a door on my room. It was a blanket, right? And
Yeah.
So, sometimes we didn't know where our next meal was going to come from. But, that's not to say like my dad tried, like it wasn't like he
Yeah.
didn't work hard,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, what do you think, what kind of effect has that had on you, on who you are today?
Well, I was really blessed because I grew up the public school system in Victoria really bad, and I think it was like 50% of people dropped out. So like
Wow.
50% of everyone that went to school didn't graduate. And so for me, my grandpa, there was a real big at one point it was like the most violent city in Texas. And my grandpa, he decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to figure out a way to get you into alternative school where if I have to pay for it, I will. And so was going to a private school. What was really cool about that is that it was paid for by my grandpa for the most part. There were some like hidden donors that helped me through school too, that we still to this day don't know who did. But what was really cool is that I was surrounded by kids that were somewhat successful, right? And so during the weeks, I would go to their house and there'd be like these big, nice houses, right? And I'd be like, whoa, this is crazy, And so I'd go back to my trailer and be like, dang, one day I want a really nice house, And so I think that always stayed with me for sure is being able to surround myself with people that, for full transparency, they were very successful business owners. Their parents were,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Do you think that had any effect or planted any seeds on who you've become today?
1,000%. I remember fast forward to when I was 25, I was waiting tables for 8 years prior and waited tables for 8 years. During that time, I was also in a heavy metal band. And one day on a whim, I decided to quit my job. And I was at a coffee shop, Googled how to become a millionaire. And the third option was real estate. Call my wife and she's like, hey, how are you going to afford to get into real estate? And I was like, well, I found these classes online at this place called Champion School of Real Estate. Shout out Champion School of Real Estate. And
love that school.
Yeah, it's an awesome school. Yeah. If you're ever thinking about getting into real estate, Champion School of Real Estate's a really good option for sure.
Yeah.
Well, started classes there. One day, this lady comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder, is like, hey, I won this contest. And there's this book, it's called Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And my husband already has it. Do you want it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Thank you so much. And then she goes, also, I think that you might really want to meet my husband because he's been doing real estate for a while. And I was like, absolutely. At that time, I was just saying yes to everybody. And then probably like a week or so later, maybe even less, I met up with that dude and that
what a
dude,
loser, right? Loser.
And that dude is the guy that's right across, in the other seat right across from me.
That lady was actually my wife.
Yeah.
Which was, crazy. So we're going to put a halt on that story because we're going to come back to that story.
Okay.
We're going to rewind back to, we're in Victoria again. And let's talk about some things that happen that really start to shape who you become.
Okay.
Right? What happened with your mom?
So I've gotten called out a couple times within the last few years because I say this word a lot. I say, hey, being fully transparent. That's a phrase that I use a lot. And so being fully transparent was a phrase that I use a lot because back in 2013, 2014, my mom was going through cancer and we thought everything was good, right?
Yeah.
And everything was good in my eyes. You know, I was at that time, I was waiting tables. I also was in a heavy metal band and it was really fun. I'd go back home. My mom was getting treatment and everything was good. And then 6 a.m. one day, August 31st, 2014, get a call and it's from my aunt. She goes, hey, John, your mom went to heaven. And I was like, what are you talking about? Right?
Yeah.
Like, she went to heaven. I thought everything was good. And so when I say fully transparent a lot, it's because, in my opinion, there wasn't a lot of transparency of how good my mom really was.
Yeah.
And so that really struck a chord with me and never want to hide the truth, you know? And full transparency, like, I think they were doing the best that they could at that time because my dad, 60 to 80 hours a week working. He's praying hard for his wife and he doesn't want to let down his son and his daughter. And it was like, he was like, I don't really want to, and he was just walking by faith, right? So literally he would say that, hey, by faith, your mom's doing really good, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, oh, that's okay. She's doing good.
Yeah.
So it just, I shouldn't be mad. It just was like, man, that's the best that he could have done, but it did hurt, right?
Yeah.
So she did pass away August 31st, if I'm not mistaken, 2014, just a few months before my wife and I got married. And that was the bummer. That was a really big bummer because, like, if I would have known it was that bad, I would have just said, hey, babe, let's get married with my mom there, you know, like we were already planning on getting married, right? But yeah, I'm full transparency. There you go. I just used it. I was a mama's boy. I am a mama's boy, right? Like me and her were so tight. What you see now is exactly who my mom was, right? Like super happy, always making jokes, always wanting to look at the bright side of things. Even up until the day she died, she was laughing, smiling. And I have a clip of me asking her close to when she was going to die. I was like, hey, what's your favorite word? Can you give me a good word? Right.
Yeah.
And I meant like a phrase. She was like, onomatopoeia. That's her favorite word. And onomatopoeia means making it's a word that means a sound, right? So like bang. Right.
Yeah.
Or like plow, you know, it's a sound, right?
Just watched a lot of Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm showing my age on that one, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so,
we're all smarter for this.
Yeah. So I was a mama's boy. But to be honest, she and my dad prayed for me my entire life. Right. There was a lot of things wrong with, there's a lot of things that they could have done better. But one thing that I'm completely thankful for is how much they prayed over my life, right?
Yeah.
And I can look back at so many times in my life after I teamed up with you at Keller Williams where I look back and I'm like, there is no way in heck that I would have been able to meet up with someone like you, or that Letty would have tapped on my shoulder and said, hey, you should meet up with my husband, or that I quit my job on a whim and said, you know what, I'm going to just figure out real estate, right? Without zero plans, with my back against the wall, with maybe $300 to my name. And I still moved forward. That was all God's favor. That was all my mom praying for me for so long, you know?
I love that. So where did the transition from Victoria to Austin, how did that take place?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I actually moved from Victoria to Houston, started the heavy metal band.
That's where you met Courtney.
That's where I met Courtney in Victoria. And then Courtney, that's where she's from, is Houston.
Yeah.
Right? So we moved to Houston. And then I started that band. And I would go on Craigslist and type up searching for guitarist, searching for heavy metal singer, right? And then people would literally be coming over to our apartment and they would be trying out in this little small one bedroom apartment, right? And like I would get the weirdest, craziest people that would come into this apartment, and they'd be driving from all over Houston. If you know anything about Houston, it's a massive city, right? But yeah, so started the heavy metal band. Then we started picking up traction. We moved to San Antonio. Absolutely hated it. I'll never live in San Antonio again. People are mean, at least back then. Yeah.
No, any city that makes the world's best tacos cannot have mean people in it. So
yeah. Well, Austin is the music capital of the world, right? And so like, and there's better music other places. So
I was talking tacos, but if he wants to go to music, okay.
No, but what I'm saying is like, yeah, you can say something, but
for sure. Yeah.
Is that the
okay? So you Houston to San Antonio. Now you're not feeling San Antonio because the people are mean and bad.
Well, the music scene too. Like, nobody supported each other. It was just like all fending for themselves. Nobody was like, "Oh, your music's good." No, it was like, "Hey, my music's good. Your music sucks." And it's like, wow. And
so, are you going to church at all in any of this?
Barely. Like maybe like once every 6 months.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I think that's important for people to know, right?
Oh yeah. I'm way far from the church. I'm not gonna lie. God was still in my heart, but it was
absolutely.
But it was open to new things.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Well, again, Scripture says, teach a child when they're young the right way. And in their life, they won't depart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my story is very similar to that piece, but back to you. So now you're getting ready. We need to make a transition from San Antonio to
Austin,
Texas.
And so moved to Austin. Man, I remember when we moved to Austin, my wife, she had the hardest time finding a job.
Yeah.
And she interviewed for, let's just say, a very popular bread restaurant. They're very known for their bread and soup, right?
Yeah.
And
that's funny.
Right? And well, in the interview process, this dude knows my wife is married to me and asks her out on a date.
Wow.
And she's like trying to be polite, but at the same time, she needs the job. And she comes back to me. She's like, John, I got to tell you something. This dude starts flirting with me, asked me out on a date. I think it was October. He asked her out on a date to like a scare haunted house or something like that.
Sure.
She was like, I really need this job. I kept telling him no. And I was like, we're in a really weird predicament because she really needed the job, right?
Yeah.
Well, she was able to like tell him no continually and still get the job.
Okay.
She became a manager at that place, and ended up a few years later, corporate calls her and was like, hey, just a heads up. We've heard some other stories about this guy doing similar thing, or, flirting with women. And did that ever happen to you? And my wife opens up. This dude, like his whole life, like flips over. He was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, which is pretty crazy.
So how long were you in Austin? So your wife is doing that. You had mentioned earlier that you were waitering, right?
Waited tables. First job I ever got was at a place called Kirby Lane. Love it.
All right, if you want to sponsor or give us free pancakes, I guess. Right? So you're there.
Yeah.
Right?
2014.
Now all of a sudden you're at the coffee shop. You're Googling how to become a millionaire.
That was 2017.
Okay. And so now all of a sudden you're in real estate. Our paths start to connect, right?
Yeah.
And John Word, in full transparency, we actually started to team up and teamed up on our team.
I don't know if you remember this though, but when I signed up for that previous brokerage, I didn't team up with you. I don't know if you remember that. It took me about 5 to 6 months for me to say, hey, Ben, I think it's about time we start teaming up. I tried to do
Yeah.
things on my own. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And it did not work.
Well, I remember that you had a lot of visions. And what I always shared with you was man, we're the same person, right? And so as you were going through this period, right? Like, how did you start to get back into church?
Well, actually, you did really encourage me to get back into church. I think you invited me to Kingdom, yeah, and absolutely loved it. And it was really cool getting back into church for sure. And there's a lot more stories behind that, right? Like, because I remember when my wife was so against church, and I kept going to church, and us in the church, we were just praying over my wife for the couple of years. I think it was a couple of years.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, she was like, "Hey, John, I think I want to go to church." And I'm like, in front of her, I'm like, "Oh, okay." In my head, I'm like, "Oh my God, Les!" But it was just so cool because for me, like, we wanted to start having kids, but in my head, I'm like, man, this might sound bad, but I didn't really want to start having kids until I knew that she had a better walk with God,
Yeah.
And then just out of nowhere, she was just like, "Hey, I want to start going to church," So that was really cool.
Then there came a time where I was on a journey and figuring out how I could become a better leader, and decided to team up with this other company. And then we ended up separating, right? Yeah. And I think the good thing is we separated on good terms, right? Yeah. It was an emotional time because I seen the potential in you and everything. Over these next couple of years.
Well, during that time frame, it was interesting because, like, that team that we joined up, I tried. It was just a different, like, I don't think I was at a level to do what they needed me to do, or maybe at a certain business acumen, or like knowing that systems were important, or knowing, or like it wasn't my business model. If that makes sense.
Exactly. And so then you went on, you started to team up with another team, and you went through this whole growth period, right? That was pretty incredible. And you started to grow and take these things and this maturity process, not only in business, but then we start to see this maturity process in church also.
Yeah.
Right? Like, talk to us about that journey, I guess 18 to 20, 21. Like, what's happening in your life during this time?
At that time,
there's a new guy that you are speaking into his life and trying to change his life.
Which one?
JB.
Oh,
Jordan Brown.
Yeah.
Shout out Jordan Brown.
Yeah, shout out Jordan Brown. So I started another team probably a year later or something like that, called Dynamic Real Estate Team.
Yeah.
With another friend, Jen. That was so fun. It was an awesome time. We did a ton of stuff. It was really cool. I think we were up to I think the most agents we had at that time was actually it was probably 4 or 5 of us. But it's just a fun time. We were figuring things out, sort of doing our own individual business, but still doing team stuff too.
But this selflessness starts to come out, right? Because now you're starting to get into like flipping and investments and stuff like that.
Yep.
And Jordan, who is the smartest of us all, right? Mr. Organization and everything. He's working for a company, AT&T, right? And you're like, bro, you need to get into real estate.
I remember being at a Chinese restaurant by myself, and I just got done maybe showing houses or something. And I'm sitting at this restaurant really close to your house, actually, Sky Fusion.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there by myself. It's the afternoon. I'm like, man, it would be really cool if Jordan was with me and we were doing real estate together and we're sitting here eating together, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. And so I call him up and I'm like, dude, I really think you should do real estate. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. He was like, my aunt told me that too. And, a few months later, get his license, joins us at Dynamic Real Estate Team. Super fun. But at the time, it's so funny because he joins and then a month later, I leave. A month later, I leave the team, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm still helping him out. He does pretty good. Like he's doing pretty good. I'm still pouring into him.
Yep.
We leave on good terms too, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no hard feelings. And I joined another brokerage. And what was really cool is that brokerage taught me a lot of what I needed to learn at that time, right? Like that period of time, it was a great transition, right?
Yeah.
I partnered up with a great guy named Matt. We're still really cool. Hopefully we're still cool, Matt. So we bought a bunch of properties. We flipped a ton of properties. He sort of taught me how to do things. And it was just a really good time. And now I can use those skills that we've learned, if the opportunities arise,
Yeah. But again, now all of a sudden Jordan decides to join you over there.
Yeah. Jordan joins me over there. We start another team called Impact Property Group.
Yeah.
And so we've got 7 agents at that time. And it was really cool. And we had a ton of fun. It's very similar to what we're doing now, but like on a very smaller scale. And so we were flipping properties. I was just giving them leads when I could.
Yep.
And
What's church life?
Church life like that at that time, sort of like lukewarm.
I love it. Okay, lukewarm.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay. So I was still going to Kingdom at that time, right?
No, I don't think so. Okay.
2021. Yeah. Church life. Actually, I did have a period of time where it was really good.
Yeah.
I remember getting in the Word. It was during the freeze, during that time. I was at TRE. Shout out TRE. Still a great brokerage,
Yep.
And I remember waking up one morning in prayer. God was like, John, you need to go do something. There was like this crazy freeze. Do you mind if I talk about that story?
Absolutely, man. This is your story.
There's this crazy freeze, and God was like, John, I need you to go do something. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so post on Facebook, hey, would anybody like to partner up and maybe give some food away? In my head, I'm like, let's do 50 meals, right? Texas Roadhouse reaches out to me like, hey, we've got a ton of food. We'll sell it to you at cost, right? So in other words, $6, $7 steak meals that we can give away, right?
Yep.
Somebody comments on the post is like, hey, do you have a Venmo that I can donate to? And I say, yeah, absolutely. Here's my Venmo. Next morning, I wake up to like $5,000 or $6,000 in my Venmo account. I'm like, what? We can do way more than 50 meals with this, right? And so we show up in front of a Kohl's parking lot, and I'm like, I don't know. Well, I'm just going to give these meals by myself. 20 people show up. And I'm like, who are all these people, right?
Yeah.
And so there's these massive lines of people getting steak dinners, right? It's not pizza, bro.
No.
It's not pizza. And so one lady is in the line. She comes through, and I've shared this story with you before.
Yeah.
But she goes, hey, John, just a heads up. I did sign up for 4 meals because me and my daughter don't have food to eat tomorrow. And boom, it hit. And I'm like, goes back to 6 a.m. the morning before. And God was like, hey, I need you to do something.
Goes back to your childhood when you didn't know where your next meals were coming from.
Yep.
And how that experience all of a sudden comes back, plays forward, And now all of a sudden,
I just remember
gave her the meals.
Yeah, I gave her the meals, and I was like, wow, that's what God meant when he said, hey, I need you to go do something. And then, like you said, it brings me back to when I was 8 or 9 years old. Somebody knocks on my door with some church's chicken. It was like, hey, I don't know what, but God told me to bring you food. And they didn't know that we didn't know where our next meal was going to come from, you know?
Yeah. And so here's the thing that I've discovered about you is the way that you grew up, community, family was very important. You've seen the hard work and stuff like that. And now I see today the communities that you build, again, going out and saying, hey, being obedient to God's calling on you, go feed these people. Okay, how am I going to feed these people? Who cares? You just go and do it. And then God all of a sudden opens up these doors with restaurants and connections. Now, you're a dad.
Yeah.
You're a dad?
Yep.
How old's your son?
He's 5 now.
5 years old now, right? And so now all of a sudden, this maturity process starts to take into place, right? Like you now have to protect and provide for this other life, but you're a new dad and you're going through all these questions and like, man, you're looking for community. So what do you do there?
Yeah. So I started this thing called the Dads Group, and we're up to about close to 3,600 dads now in our local area. And that was around that same time frame that God was telling me, John, I need you to go do something. And I think actually now looking back, that was probably a blessing from that time period, right?
Absolutely.
Like God was like, you know what? You went and did what I asked you to do. Well, I'm gonna bless you with something. Cause now looking back, I'm like, yeah, those are connected, you know?
Yeah.
But around that same time frame, had my first kid, and I had no friends that had kids as well at that time. And so I started this community, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try to find other dads in our local area. And full transparency, I did not realize that so many people were moving to the area that just didn't know anyone, and they needed community, right?
Yeah.
And so without realizing, there was no strategy in my head that was like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of leads from this, right?
Yeah.
It was just like, no, I'm just starting a group because I need it. Yep. And so now that Dads Group is one of the most resourceful, most from my personal business, my spiritual life, and not only mine, but thousands of dads get so much from this group. Absolutely incredible.
I love the way that God is using you in this and using your natural abilities as a connector, your skills of empathy, how you feel the people's pains and things. And so those are special giftings that God has used on you, man. And so again, I just want you to have continued success in whatever God is calling you to do, man. Most importantly, I hope that you guys have gotten to know John's heart a little bit more. There's so much more incredible stories. I mean, we could sit here for 5-6 hours in stories. So to try to compact it in 30 minutes is really tough. But I think it was important for us really to highlight who you are as a person and to show your heart, because you have this incredible heart where you attract people, and in any leadership position, you can lead people for good or you can lead people for bad. And John, you are definitely one of those leaders who are leading people for good, man.
Well, I hope so.
Final words, man. Go ahead.
Pour into others without expectations.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, where can they find you, Ben?
They can find me on Instagram, benlove_ATXrealtor.com.
.com?
I don't know, man. I just went with that one.
Okay. You can find me at John Michael Perez on Instagram, or Lighthouse Collective on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for listening. If you heard anything on this episode that you enjoyed, that maybe you want to share it with your friends, please do so. We do this for completely free, no ads, no sponsorships yet. But if one favor that we ask is just share it with your friends.
Yeah. And great job.
Here's the thing, guys. Ben was going to say something and he totally messed up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you on the next one. See you guys.
See you on the next one.